Welcome back for another video. FPL is just days away now, we're officially back. But what's this video? Well, in this series there's 270 top all-time managers involved. Every week they share their transfers they've made, their captain choice for the game week, their team selection, and I consolidate all that data into these videos to allow you to make the sharpest decisions every week. Last season, a quarter of them notched another top 10k in their rank history, and here's the craziest part, the rank histories. So combined, they've finished top 10k 403 times, top 1k 59 times, top 100 6 times, and one FPL World Champion. If there's one video you don't want to miss, it's this one every week, so hit subscribe below. Some really big news as well, and I think you'll agree this is a genuine game changer in the FPL space. Brand new on the Focal app and FPL.page today is the new Experts tool. So you can now get the data in real time, on demand, rather than waiting all week for these videos every Thursday. If you like the sound of that, it's included in Premium, and right now it's 80p for a whole month, so that's all the way till Gameweek 5. I'll be honest, I'm probably never going to do 80% off again, because I'm realising now it's too generous, but anyway, it's live, so don't miss out. Plus you get all the existing premium tools like the projections ticker, live market odds, team of the week, etc. There's only one subscription, you get absolutely everything, no add-ons, no tiers. You can also customise the dashboard on your computer and your mobile by moving or removing the widgets. You can even change the theme, so just make it your own, it's your FPL app. Premium also gets you a completely ad-free experience. So yeah, 80p all the way to Gameweek 5. Don't miss out on that because that does end next week. FPL.page/subscribe, QR code on screen. And I know for certain you'll find yourself looking at what the top all-time managers are doing every game week. So it's a Gameweek 1 special. From next week we'll be looking at their top transfers in and out, but of course there's no transfers out this week. It's all about the most owned players in each position by the top all-timers. So we'll split it out by position and let's have a quick chat about the top names. Goalkeepers first. And the most owned keeper is Kinski of 74% ownership. It's 21% owned overall, so that's a 50% gap in the overall player base versus top managers, and it's a big gap as well with the second keeper. It's for Bruggen, 61% owned. He's 19% overall. Raya, the most expensive keeper this year, is the only one that's 6 mil, and he's the third top keeper with 15%, and then it's Lammens, 14%. If you're not bench boosting early on, then Kinski and Dubravka is a really nice pairing because that's the least amount of money you can spend to have a guaranteed keeper every week. You know, that unlikely scenario, Kinski gets injured, you've got Dubravka who will play. This is also doable with Brighton actually, still is 4 mil. There's only a few other teams that have got a 4.5 and 4 mil pairing, that's Bournemouth, Fulham and Ipswich. Defenders next, and number 1 is Calafiori. I'm wondering how much that increased after that Community Shield goal against Man City. He's 78% owned, exactly 50% more than the overall player base. Maguire is second, 57%, and then it's White, 32%, Mosquera, 29%, and then it's Shaw, Maharamovic, Rodon, Thomas, Aya, O'Shea, Gabriel, Davis, Diop, Van der Wijk and Hume. It's just been reported Arsenal have reached an agreement to sign Konsa from Villa. He's going to become an Arsenal player subject to medical. He can play centre back, he can play right back. I think he's going to be primarily a centre back, which does cast some doubt over Mosquera now. Only 4.5 mil as well, so he's going to be a potential game breaker, like too good to ignore if he nails down right centre back for 4.5 mil till Saliba's back. So despite the huge price increase, 17% are saying, you know what, I'm still happy to pay for Gabriel 8 mil. And if he does maintain last season's points per game, it'll actually be a bargain for 8 mil. He missed 8 games. He only scored 30 fewer points than Haaland despite that. He cost 7.5 mil more. The Arsenal defence situation is still murky though as the deadline nears for Gameweek 1. You've got Nkapia competition with Calafiori. You've got Arsenal reportedly looking to sign Konsa because Saliba's out for months, so that casts a doubt over Mosquera longer term. You've got Timber back in a few weeks, which will affect White. It's close, but their favourite second defender is White, albeit by a margin of a few percent. And their favourite 4 mil defender is Thomas with 22% ownership. And then it's O'Shea, then it's Davies, Diop and Van der Wijk, all 17% owned. We're actually blessed with 4 mil defenders this year. Like, it wasn't that long ago, a few years back, you'd be lucky to have any 4 mil defenders that are nailed on. Anyway, midfielders next, and look at this. Bruno with 94% is the joint most owned player among the top all-time managers. Can you guess the other name? Bruno's 49% owned overall for comparison, and Bumo's second, 70% owned compared to 32% overall. These are the places that you can make big gains from these videos. Like if there's a big discrepancy between experts ownership and overall, that's a buy signal. We'll have a full list later on that will show both columns for comparison. Szoboszlai 58% owned, Gross 52%, and Zolis in 5th, higher than I expected actually, but he has been fantastic in pre-season and the Community Shield, getting 2 assists against City. Martinelli didn't even make the squad, which is quite telling. Perhaps Arsenal want to sell him and Eze's the left wing competition. Perhaps they bring another left winger. And Dye 42%, Verts 25%, then it's Sangare, that's Brentford's Sangare, Lefay, Gomez, Semenyo, Slater, Palmer, Anderson and Schade. And lastly the forwards. And if you guessed Haaland was the joint most owned with Bruno, you were wrong. It's João Pedro at 94%. In fact, Bruno's not even second. It's Calvert-Lewin 82%, and then it's Haaland, third most owned forward, 76%. Huge gap from the top 3 to the rest here, which makes sense. It's been the template front 3, hasn't it? João Pedro, DCL, Haaland. Further down then we've got Isak next, 18%, Thiago 10%, Brobbey 8%. Not that those names, by the way, aren't valid picks at all. They absolutely are, and there could be a big edge there going with these guys early on. Like Brobbey faces a newly promoted Ipswich, and obviously Ipswich now under O'Neill in charge as well. McKenna's gone. And they've got Fulham home Gameweek 2, so Brobbey actually looks great if you're open to the early wildcard in 3 or 4. And Thiago, of course, he was fantastic last year. He's been great in pre-season, and he's got the fixtures to potentially carry that on. And if Isak can return to his best, he'll be borderline must-have. Dan Wright is one of the greatest managers of all time, and he's involved in this series. 4 top 10Ks in the last 6. The other finishes were top 50K. Came 7K as well a few years before that. He does weekly team reveals on Fantasy Football Scout if you'd like to follow his articles. He has shared his Gameweek 1 team with us. It's Kinski, White, Van Dijk, Mosquera, Shaw, Szoboszlai, Gross and Dye, Bruno, Haaland and João Pedro. So his bench is Rushworth, Calvert-Lewin, Sangare and Thomas. And he's laid it all out for us. Here's what Dan said. I've not 100% locked in my chip strategy for the first half of the season, but I'm currently leaning towards playing an early bench boost, although not in Gameweek 1. In terms of timing, my current plan is to play the bench boost chip in Gameweek 2. The main reason for bench boost 2 over 1 is I'm not convinced by the strength of the Gameweek 1 matchups for some of the cheap enablers, while a Gameweek 2 bench boost allows me to exploit Coventry's favourable home fixture against Hull, with Carl Rushworth and Bobby Thomas part of a defensive double-up that I can downgrade on the wildcard later down the line. In goal, I've paired Rushworth with Kinski. Kinski still looks like the pick of the 4.5mm keepers, and Tottenham's fixtures are decent up to the first international break. In defence, I've also doubled up on Mosquera and White. I'm going to have to give Calafiori some thought now, following Arsenal's links with Konsa, but Mosquera seems safe for Gameweek 1 at the very least. Might have to make that switch. Van Dijk hasn't left my squad for a couple of weeks now. Liverpool have got arguably the best run of fixtures to start the season in my opinion, and Van Dijk's DEFCON and bonus point potential, combined with his offensive threat, makes him a solid defensive foundation. Luke Shaw rounds out the defence. Shaw's a buy low route into the Man United defence for Gameweek 1 and 2, who I'm happy to bench once Man United's fixtures start to turn. Offensively, my squad is built around Haaland and Bruno as my premium captaincy options. Despite a poor showing in the Community Shield, I'd rather start the season with Haaland and pivot away if needed, rather than commit to an early wildcard to bring him in should he and Man City start well in the league. In midfield, Fernandes is joined by Szoboszlai and Dye, Gross and Sangare, all 4 of the DEFCON potential, particularly Sangare, who averaged 14.2 DEFCONs per 90 minutes in Liga last season, with pre-season form suggesting those numbers should translate to the Premier League. Gross and Dye picked themselves at their price, given they should both be on penalties for their respective clubs, while Szoboszlai should also have decent penalty share, depending on Isak's minutes. Up front, Haaland is joined by Calvert-Lewin. Leeds is number 9, looks to be the best of the 6mm forwards, again boosted by penalty duties, while João Pedro looks to have settled well under Xabi Alonso based on his excellent pre-season numbers. Okay, so Dan's on Gameweek 2 bench boost, so let's pull up the chip overview. Wow, so we've got 61% of the top all-time managers have activated their bench boost right now for Gameweek 1. There's no triple captains active, unsurprisingly, and obviously can't wildcard or free here, but 61% on a bench boost. So how about we hear from one more of the best ever FPL managers. William Johansson's on a different chip strategy to Dan. His bench boost is active right now. Last 6 finishes, 3k, 5k, 15k, 9k, 5k, 43k. So that's 0.0%, 0.1%, 0.1%, 0.0%, 0.0% and 0.3%. So his team is Raya, Gabriel, Maguire, Mosquera, Szoboszlai and Dye, Bruno and Bumo, Verts, João Pedro and Thiago. So he's bench boosting a bench off of Verbruggen, Calvert-Lewin, Van Heck and Diop. The plan is to be open to a few different strategies all at once, while still having a robust team that can potentially go all the way to Gameweek 7. Gameweek 1 bench boost is a lock, however. The main chip plan is free hit 3, wildcard 7. That strategy looks the best if nothing goes wrong, which most likely won't be the case. I'm open to a wildcard in Gameweek 3 to get Haaland in that way if I get a few early issues. Free hit 3 and wildcard 5 is also an option if the FOMO for Haaland becomes too big against Sunderland. The thinking behind the players is that they're all picks I'm happy to play in slightly more difficult games if I need to, since they're mostly 90-minute men. The spots I'm struggling with the most are Thiago and Verts and Diop. I've looked at different variations that include Palmer, Isak, Tarkowski and others, but I don't feel like I want to rush into them when there are more secure players that we know more about who also have great fixtures. At the same time, I also don't know how often we'll get opportunities to have them as differentials. Thank you both Dan and William for sharing the teams and the thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you can follow the top all-time managers every week this season, and there's a link below for 80% off Focal Premium so you can access all this data on demand anytime. And that brings us to the top all-time managers captaincy. I don't remember a Gameweek 1 quite like this ever in the years making these videos. It's Haaland 53%, Bruno 47%, it's very split between them. Obviously a disappointing Community Shield for Man City and Haaland. It's worth mentioning he's played in 4 Community Shields since he's joined City. He's never scored or even assisted in any of those. So we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions as well. Though Doku is out injured for Gameweek 1, which isn't ideal. It's a new era at Man City. How will they look? It's almost a coin toss between the top all-time managers and their captain choice, so go with your gut for Gameweek 1. The captain tool's got Bruno just ahead as the 5 stars pick, and then it's Haaland on 4, and then it's Gabriel and Mbeumo and Havertz. So that brings us to the experts team next. So to explain, every week this is based on the 15 most owned players within budget. So it's the consensus team, the top all-time managers template. So here we go. It's a 3-5-2 with Verbruggen in goal. In defence, Calafiori, Maguire and Aya. In midfield, Bruno and Mbeumo and Dye, Zobo and Gross. And then up front it's Haaland and João Pedro. The bench boost is active as well. So it's Kinski, Calvert-Lewin, Thomas and Rodon on the bench. And obviously, given that this is a Gameweek 1 bench boost, you probably want to opt for a 4-mil Ipswich defender rather than Thomas for better clean sheet odds. They probably both concede, but Thomas is the number 1 4-mil defender, so he's in the template team. We didn't talk about Aya earlier. Van den Berg is sidelined for a couple of months, and he averaged just under 10 defcons per 90 last season, so he's nice for 4.5 mil. And you've got his centre-back partner Collins for 5.5 mil as well for comparison. How many players have you got from the template team? So we'll move on and we'll finish up with the top all-time managers' thoughts. FPL Fady is also on no Haaland, and he says, I've gone for a Haalandless setup that gives me a nice bench boost 1 and flexibility for the near future. I have an eye on free hit 3 or free hit 4, but options to transfer Haaland in Gameweek 3, 5 or 7 if I'm wrong on that call. In a perfect world, I like to put off the wildcard till Gameweek 7ish. FPL Vert says, it's time to suit up for another season. I think the best reason for the early bench boost is that Gameweek 1 is technically a wildcard, so this is the only time that you can effectively play 2 chips in one game week. I also believe that the bench boost is the most high maintenance chip for mostly middling returns, so out of sight, out of mind. Good luck all. Alex Mason says, I've looked for a balanced lineup to start the season. My plan is to bench boost Gameweek 1 and get that out of the way, so I can focus on my 11 quickly for the remainder of the first half of the season by structuring my team with a strong 15. I've picked a team that can see me through the first 5 game weeks without making any transfers. My plan is then to wildcard in Game Week 6 after the international break with 5 free transfers in the bank and play from there in a position of strength. It's great to be back and good luck everyone. Aaron Morley says, we don't talk so much about the psychological aspect of FPL. A bad start obviously leaves you trailing in points, but it's worse than that. You lose team value. And you end up having to play catch up, and that can lead to making suboptimal decisions as you can lose interest in FPL entirely. I think this is an underrated reason for playing chips aggressively. I'll be doing a Gameweek 1 bench boost, Gameweek 3 free hit and an early wildcard, and this is also why it's good to start fairly template and cover the main threats. And lastly, FPL Magnum says, welcome back for another season of FPL. And lastly, a big thank you from me to all the managers that are involved to make this series possible for us to benefit from the data. And thank you Plan FPL and Premier Fantasy Tools as well. And thank you FPL Koosh, who set up a new webpage for the managers to send their responses every week. And thank you lastly Whitebeard FPL, who counts up the rank histories every year for this. Go sign up for premium today, fpl.page/subscribe. It's ATP all the way to Gameweek 5. And now on top of everything else, you get all the experts data on demand. I'll see you soon for the next one.